This liberal lunatic that just won the Democratic nomination for the mayor of New York City, while he looks like he's all smiles and giggles and has that fake politician smile, he is vicious with some of his policies. And one of them includes abolishing ICE and fighting to the death against ICE in New York City if he becomes mayor. So who had to come on TV and fire back at this liberal extremist who probably got elected in his race by some illegals? None other than Tom Homan, but not just Tom Homan, bearded Tom Homan. Okay, Tom? But before we see how Tom checks this guy with facts and calls him to the carpet like, man, you want to dance? Let's dance. Let's see what this lunatic Zoran Mamdani, whatever that name is. Let's see what this lunatic Zoran Mamdani has had to say about ICE and Tom Homan in the past, including a direct confrontation, he calls it, at Tom Homan. It's itsSeanDaniel here. If you love Tom Homan videos, consider subscribing. I show you guys a bunch of these as they come out.
I think what we see in ICE is a rogue agency, one that has no interest in laws, no interest in order. What Controller Lander was asking for when he was arrested was for them to provide a judicial warrant agency.
Would you deal with ICE?
I think what we see in ICE is a rogue agency, one that has no interest in laws, no interest in order. What Controller Lander was asking for when he was arrested was for them to provide a judicial warrant signed by a judge. He was asking for them to follow the law, and that was apparently a question too far. And him being arrested is just one indication of the slide into authoritarianism we're seeing across this country. It is the actions of masked men in unmarked cars picking up Americans and New Yorkers, whether they're going in for a regular immigration check-in or they're just in their apartment building lobby like Mahmoud Khalil. And I do believe that when we think about what this country needs and a humane immigration policy that has some thought and care for law and order, that clearly is not ICE. It hasn't been seen to be such in recent times. It's also clearly a modern creation, one that did not exist 30 years ago, which, by the way, is when the last time that Andrew Cuomo actually lived in New York City. And I think as the next mayor of this city, what I would do is make clear that we are not here to assist ICE in their operations. We are here to stand up for sanctuary city policies that have kept New Yorkers safe. And unlike Eric Adams, I would ensure that my NYPD would not be assisting those agents. As we recently saw when a migrant was being arrested at Federal Plaza, the NYPD was arresting a pastor who was peacefully observing that arrest. That is ridiculous. And that is yet another example of us seeing Washington, D.C. having their own ambassador here in Eric Adams.
You gotta admit, he is smooth, he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to perform. But he doesn't want to protect New Yorkers. He wants to protect illegals that have come into New York and are in the sanctuary city. They're not New Yorkers. They're from Nicaragua, Colombia, Honduras, maybe from Iran.
Let me ask you really quickly, should ICE be abolished? I mean, you and I are old enough to remember when that was actually a policy proposal. Let me ask you really quickly, should ICE be abolished? I mean, you and I are old enough to remember when that was actually a policy proposal by people in this country on the left. We've seen the Biden administration previously increase funding for ICE. It was a missed opportunity that people say maybe we wouldn't be in this situation if ICE didn't have this kind of funding. But from this vantage point now, what you're seeing in Los Angeles, should ICE be abolished?
I believe it should, and it's been a privilege to have been represented by Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez as a fellow representative of Astoria, and she is one of the leaders of that call and has continued to make that call, and I've been proud to receive her endorsement to become the next mayor of the city.
New York City mayoral candidates.
Look at that fake smile. This guy just oozes sleazy salesman vibes, and he's there to perform and do what everybody's telling him up above. And one of the things maybe his handlers told him to do was to cause a huge scene when Tom Homan came to New York City, where he confronts Tom Homan while he's far away and barely paying attention to him.
How many more New Yorkers? How many more New Yorkers will you detain? How many more New Yorkers without charge? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan?
When we asked Tom Homan, all he had to answer for that cruelty was a smirk. Because there is no answer for taking a man from his pregnant wife, who is due to deliver their newborn child in a month, from their Columbia University apartment, a day after that same man, Mahmoud Khalil, wrote to Columbia University and said he feared for his life. The cowardice that is on display across our city and our state is unacceptable. New Yorkers are looking to us. They are looking to their leaders for courage and for conviction. And what they are finding instead is collaboration. And that is just simply unacceptable.
Once again, he's not talking about New Yorkers. He's talking about illegals from Latin America, all these people that flooded New York because of the benefit of their sanctuary city policies and all the benefits they were getting by staying at the hotels in New York City. And then, possibly, some of them voted for this guy. Let me know in the comments, who do you think would actually win in a real confrontation between him, this liberal yelling extremist guy who wants to have a $30 minimum wage, or bearded Tom Homan? Let me know in the comments. Now let's hear from Big Daddy bearded Tom Homan. But before he addresses the mayor, let's find out what he has to say about these Iranian sleeper cells that might be in the U.S. and might be in New York City.
Trump administration border czar, Mr. Tom Homan, one of my great heroes. Tom Homan, welcome back to the show. Iranian sleeper cells, Mr. Homan. You've got to do something. I mean, some have been arrested so far. How big a problem is this, and what are your plans to lead ICE to deal with it?
Well, look, we got a lot of work to do. You're exactly right. Which, again, I want you to jump right in. We need a big, beautiful bill. We need the funding for more agents. We need the funding for more beds. We need the funding for more transportation. We need the funding for more targeting. So it's imperative, especially right now. So for those on the Hill, I don't care. Removing national security threats, removing public safety threats from this country should be a nonpartisan issue. So get it done. We need the funds to get this done. Well, the good thing is President Trump, we got President Trump in the Oval Office. I can tell you, right after the election, we didn't wait till January. We didn't wait for the inauguration. Right after the election, I got together with a lot of smart folks to say, okay, we got a big problem we're going to deal with right after inauguration on 2 million plus gotaways and all these special interest aliens that were released into the United States. So we started planning for this months ago. So day one of the administration, we're hitting the ground. That's why President Trump from day one said, we're going to concentrate on national security threats and public safety threats, and that's what we're doing. After the Iran issue this weekend, we just stepped on the gas, adding a lot more resources to it and really hammering it. So we're on it. We're going to do the best we can as fast as we can.
One of your messages then, Tom, this is important because the Senate is coming to a vote. The one big, beautiful bill is in part, it's an economic bill, yes, but it's a border security bill, and it's a deport the criminals bill also. That's a huge part of it. That's what you're saying to us.
Here's what I want to say to them. Under the Biden administration, we have over 2 million known gotaways, captured on video, drone traffic, or sensor traffic. 2 million people crossed this border illegally and paid more to get away. They didn't pay less to get a free airline flight to the city of their choice, not get a free hotel room, not get 3 meals a day, not get free medical care. 2 million people paid more not to take advantage of that giveaway program. Why? Because they didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. They didn't want to deal with law enforcement at all. Why is that? That just scared the hell out of everybody. It does me. So how many of these 2 million people are significant public safety threats? How many of them came from the country sponsoring terror? Border Patrol arrested over 400 trying to sneak into the country. They arrested them. So you can't think not a single one of these 2 million plus didn't come here to do us harm. So that's the message. This is not an immigration issue as much. It is a national security issue. Secure border is about national security, and secure border is about interior enforcement. If there's no consequences, then the border enforcement is less. This is what the American people need to know. I think they understand. That's why President Trump's in the White House. They elected him on this issue. So every member of Congress, this is the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen. I've done this since 1984. Help us. Fund the bill, and let's get this done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great message.
What he means by the 2 million gotaways not taking advantage of the benefits in the U.S. is meaning they paid more to be able to evade Border Patrol on the border so they can get in undetected. A lot of these other people went through these, in a way, border checkpoints where all the illegals showed up. They showed them their papers. They claimed asylum. They got processed. They got a hearing date. They got a free ticket to go somewhere. They got basically a ticket to stay at certain hotels in certain cities. These other people, these gotaways, they paid extra to the cartels to evade all of that, evade all those benefits. Why? Maybe to come here and do some harm and be really undetected. And that's Tom's concern.
Another one, Tom Homan. This new socialist mayor candidate. He hasn't won yet, but he won the Democratic primary, Zorain Mamdani. So he's saying, I mean, this is incredible. He's vowed to kick the, quote, fascist ICE out of New York City, okay? So how do you intend to deal with that? Because I would guess there are going to be a lot of criminals and Iranian cells and whatnot in New York City. The job's not done there. What do you say to this guy?
Good luck with that. Federal law trumps him every day, every hour, every minute. We're going to be in New York City. Matter of fact, because it's a sanctuary city, President Trump made it clear a week and a half ago. We're going to double down and triple down on sanctuary cities. If we can't arrest a bad guy in a county jail, one agent arresting one bad guy, they release him in the streets like New York does every day. We got to send a whole team to look at this guy. And not only that, we're going to send additional teams to look for all the people they arrest. We're going to concentrate in sanctuary cities because we know they're releasing public safety threats and national security threats back to the street. So we know we got a problem there. So we don't have that problem in Florida where most sheriffs work for us. So we're going to double up and triple up on New York. And not only are we going to send more agents to the neighborhood, we're going to increase worksite enforcement tenfold. If we can't arrest them in the jail, you're going to force them in the neighborhood, then we'll find them in the neighborhood. If we can't find them in the neighborhood, we'll find them at the worksite. So game on, we're coming.
Yes, sir. Game on, we're coming. I love that. Has Eric Adams, the current mayor, been a help to you, sir?
Yes, I met with Eric Adams starting in November, and he wants to do the right thing. Look, he wants to be a law and order mayor. He he spent a career in the police force. He doesn't want to be an immigration officer. I haven't asked him to be an immigration officer, but he wants our cops working with our cops on the significant public safety threats and national security threats. He also wants to help us find, 300,000 missing children that were trafficked in this country, maybe in forced labor trafficking and forced sex trafficking. He wants to help find these kids. Again, he doesn't want to do immigration work, but he wants us to work with his law enforcement officers on removing significant national security threats from his city. It's the right thing to do. It should be a nonpartisan issue. So I work with him. He's trying to help us, but the city council keeps, stopping it and suing him over it. But he's in the right mindset. It's just that his hands are tied in many ways.
Yeah, the other guy's a complete nutcase, but you'll roll him anyway.
It's interesting. Why did Eric Adams, the current New York City mayor, all of a sudden switch his tune about willing to work with Trump and with ICE to help protect the city from public safety threats after he incentivized and called for all the illegals to come to New York City, allowed them to have so many benefits in New York City? He changed his tune. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think it was because he saw that Trump was on the winning side now. Trump was about to come in, take names, not mess around, and he did not want to be on the other side of that. But it looks like this liberal extreme socialist, Zoran Mamdani, if I said his name right, is going to be on the wrong side of that, and Trump and his team are not going to slow down. They're going to double down and even triple down. It's SeanDaniel here. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing for more Tom Homan videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Also, I am finally back in the US of A, baby. No more traveling for a bit. Freedom!